Hello, BonusODE fans. If you're listening to this, either you've accidentally subscribed and you're just getting this in your ears accidentally, or you like the little content we do in between our guests.
Fans or foes?
Either way, we appreciate you coming here for a little bit of disability chat between Dylan and myself. I've brought an article today, an article by our Paralympic medalist, Elizabeth Wright.
I think she's also, I know Elizabeth, she's also like a reporter as well. I think
Disability Affairs reporter, yeah.
How cool is that? I think she does some, maybe I'm wrong, but some stuff with ABC, kind of similar to what Naz Campanella did before she had the baby stuff. And I think she's back at work now, which is cool.
Elizabeth's written an article. The full link can be found below to give credit to herself and the article itself. So please click on it for the full link because I am going to be paraphrasing throughout to kind of get Dylan's thoughts on it. But she speaks about being at the supermarket and she has a prosthetic leg and she has limb difference. And I think she has a shorter arm as well. And she said that at the age of 43, for the first time, she stood up for herself at the supermarket when somebody near the fruit and veg section laughed at her leg, pointed at it and said, "Hey, look at that." And it's the first time. As an adult, or ever, that she actually called it out.
An adult said that to her?
Oh, I'm not sure exactly. Okay. A woman said loudly.
Yeah, that's a woman. That's not an adult. Wouldn't be a girl. Yeah.
Come here and have a look at that, waving to her partner to come over.
What?
Which is wild in itself.
Wild in itself.
Yeah.
Like, hey, come over here, look at this. It's just so weird people do that. So I'm in a disability proud state where I can laugh at something like that, as opposed to some people who can't, you know?
And also, the people listening to our podcast will probably be in the same idea. But for a lot of people, they'll be like, "Oh, you're not allowed to call people out." And
that's just incredible.
That. But
it's an interesting article. We had a chat about it, and it's why we love this podcast, right? And like, rightfully so. I like not rightfully so to get personal flack, but people like when I say that I'm proud and all that. People are like, "Oh, well, you're just proud," and I'm not. I'm like, 100%. People have you cannot expect any person with disability, especially people with invisible disabilities, they don't owe you anything to tell you about their disability, right? You got to do the work first. So people can be proud of who they are because society is more inclusive and accessible. You can't wait for all people with disabilities to be me and be this positive advocate guy who loves his life. Not everyone is the same, and I promise you, I don't expect any person with disabilities. You can do whatever, you do you, right? And honestly, my goal in life is to make more people feel proud of their disability. But if you don't, you don't have any pressure to. Does that make sense? Because I think now that there are more and more advocates in the world, like in the mainstream, it's like, oh, I have to be like that. But I actually hate being in a wheelchair, Dylan. I'm like, fair enough. Because being in a wheelchair can be shit sometimes, you know?
I guess the interesting part about me reading the article was that you can forget, especially being mates with you and doing this podcast next to you every week, is that you are proud of your disability, though you have had your own journey. It wasn't immediate, you know, and that is the message that you push. You know, it's about being proud of the person that you are, regardless of disability or whatnot. But it is funny to hear that the journey is so different for every single person. And then when I read that she was 43 at the first age, she's called out that ableist slur or just the uncomfortableness while she's shopping. And I think she also went on to say that she would hide herself while going to a public pool and just didn't have that body confidence. At that age of 43, being born with disability, that's her journey to get to this point, which is awesome that she feels more comfortable now, of course. But I remember just chatting to Kyra, who was our Listen Able Kids superstar.
How good are those episodes?
Awesome.
If you're listening to this right now, go back. Unbelievable. Angus and I out of a job very soon. Yeah. Unbelievable.
And we are looking for more Listen Able kids. Make sure you send us an email, listenable@fromyourpocket.com.au if you want to be the next superstar.
An able.
But Kyra, I did ask her if she was proud of her disability. You know, she's a very young woman and she was saying that she's on her way to.
Yeah,
like,
cool.
You know, opportunities like Listen Able Kids, you know, made her find new confidence in it, and also people reaching out to her since then, and the response online has been super heartwarming because she's like, oh my God, people loved what I've done and me telling my story. But it was so contrasting for me that, you know, I did take this essence that Kyra was beginning her journey of finding, you know, a love for her disability, or, you know, as that being part of the person that she is, but also I was a bit blown away that someone at 43 can.
Who was also a Paralympian and a reporter.
Yeah.
So remember, it happens to all people with disability, and it is about a spectrum of where you sit on how proud you are with yourself. What I will say is, I can only talk from lived experience. My life changed immediately as soon as I became proud of my disability, right? And I put in the work to try and do that. But if you aren't there, don't feel bad. Don't feel bad. Don't feel guilty. You don't owe anyone anything, right? But what I will say is, for every one idiot in the supermarket that gives you a hard time, there are 10,000 other lenders that are worth your time. And as soon as you stop focusing on this crap and the other great things you can do with your life when you have a disability, life changes. However, we as a society need to be more accessible and more inclusive, so more options and more choices open up for more people so that they can become proud.
I'll finish with some of Elizabeth's writing. It's her own words. She said, which I love the word, getting proud by practicing. Great little remark there. But she said, I've been told in countless ways that I'm not worth the effort to include. But the disability pride movement rejects those exclusions and those microaggressions that tell you there is something wrong with you. Through practicing pride, I've learned that there is nothing wrong with being disabled and I don't have to accept discrimination. I will take up the space in the community confidently. I'll never forget the supermarket woman's face as I called her out on her very public harassment. She turned around red and her eyes dropped. She looked mortified. I hope that she learned something valuable that day. I hope that she learned disabled people deserve to be treated with respect and will speak out when we're not.
Cannot say it any better than that.
Yeah.
Beautiful stuff.
So the full article is below. Listenable at fromyourpocket.com.au if you want to be part of Listenable Kids. And maybe if you're watching this online, you want to get yourself an accessible Listenable merch shirt, we'll chuck the link below as well so you can look just like us.
See you next week.